Good evening. It's News View. I'm Lee Sullivan. Thank you for allowing me in, visiting with Fox's News View analyst Ron Hart, libertarian author, columnist, great American most of the time, but a guy that knows what he believes and knows how to talk about it and put a little humor in it. And you know what? People really get, they get their hairs all twisted when people make fun of them, don't they?
Turns out they don't like it so much.
They do get all twisted up.
Sometimes, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And it's good because humor is, since Will Rogers or you go back to any point in time, has been the best way to point out absurdities.
Yeah. Well, people that are usually as arrogant as the people that you're talking about,
yeah,
they don't suck that up well.
No, they don't do well with that. So
no, they don't.
There's a great line. There's more truth in humor than there are facts.
Right.
So if you can paint a kind of a caricature of someone, and the left does a great job of it with the right-wing candidates. They always, they made Bush, who went to Yale and Harvard, to be an idiot. He's supposed to be like a 85 IQ idiot. They paint people in Newt Gingrich is kind of painted as a kind of a fat, bumbling guy, and Herman Cain is kind of an Uncle Tom. And anybody on the right, they paint their narrative. Don't touch the president.
Right.
No, Obama. You can't. He's been in 57 states, but he's the most brilliant man in the world.
He is. And did you listen to him?
His monologue. Yeah, pass this bill now. Pass this bill. It's good to see he's focusing on jobs all of a sudden, which is his job, is really what he's focusing on. So, great time to focus on jobs would have been about 2 years ago.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
And his stance on Social Security is.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Well, he doesn't know what he believes. He knows he can give a great speech. He reads whatever's in the teleprompter. He has no idea what actually works. As I said in the column last week, he's a liberal, limousine liberal who hangs around Martha's Vineyard with a bunch of layabout heirs and Kennedys and people like that who hadn't had jobs in 3 generations. So these people are laying off their grandfather's money, great-grandfather's money, who was a Republican, and a hard-nosed Republican,
really?
Who for some reason they resent and see therapists over because they hate the great-grandfather who provided them all the money they lay around Massachusetts with.
A guilt trip.
A guilt trip. Yeah, they're soft, they're guilt-driven, they're for everything because they didn't earn their money.
I'm rich, I'm so sorry I'm rich.
Let me give it back.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it back. And the truth is they don't give it back. They live on it, but they at cocktail parties, it's so much easier to be a liberal because you're for everything. You're not against cutting Social Security. You're not for cutting the budget. You're not for the hard decisions. Being Republican in its truest form, or libertarian, is you're against things. And it's hard to be against things. See, Obama doesn't have anything if he can't give a speech where he says he's going to give away money. He goes before the Veterans Association recently, I think Milwaukee. Oh, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. He goes before unions. We're going to give you this. If you can't give away party favors, of other people's money.
Something. He's lying about that.
Oh,
As a veteran, I can tell you, that's a big one.
Oh, yeah. He'll lie in front of anybody. No one checks him. The great line recently was the CBOE. After he gave a speech, they said, what do you think about the speech? So we can't score a speech in terms of how much it costs. Last night, for example, he gave the speech, and no one knows what's going to cost. He says $475 billion, but here you guys go kind of find ways to save money to get me the money I need to do it. It's just like an arrogant school professor telling people to do work and come see me later with what you've come up with.
In Lee's America, everybody was watching football.
Yeah, it came on after, though.
They
Yeah.
weren't caring what Barack
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
even though he's Irish.
Yeah. Well, I think the right to watch football is one of the articles in the Constitution, and the right to see it is vested with the Congress.
It is the most important thing in the world. Clearly.
They can sell their strikes to get back to business.
Listen,
People care about
college
that.
and pro football is the most important thing in the world. It overshadows economics. It is America.
Keep the country going when we're back down. And, exactly. So that basically what will happen is, what makes me mad about Obama is he demands prime time where stations give it to him for free, and he gives campaign speeches. These aren't important things. There was nothing new in last night's speech. He just wants airtime. And then what he did last night, which is kind of cute, they say it's going to last 45 minutes, so the Republicans didn't have time to rebut his speech because the football was coming on. The Republicans aren't going to go do that. But it went 32 minutes, and then he comes in with this warning, all of a sudden there's a terrorist warning. It just happened to come in right after his speech, you notice, where that clogged up the airways for any rebuttal. Eric Cantor's good, by the way. He's the one that kind of was going to do the rebuttal to him, and he basically drowned him out. Now, during this whole period of time, the Republicans were doing their debates where, you know, Brian Williams and the NBC leftists are asking them tough questions, as Newt said, trying to make them fight with each other, and Obama's got no questions being asked of him. He's on this pulpit, you know, from the top, telling everybody what to do. He's not being asked questions, so he's getting to the fourth round of the fight with no punches thrown at him.
Well, sports and politics, and I've studied this carefully.
Have you? Yeah.
Where they come together are both groups send pictures of their body parts to various people.
Yeah, they both like that. Favre and Wiener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and then they have their I don't guess you can call it. I guess that's part of the sport, you know, and part of the politics
Right.
is who they're running around with, male or female.
And if I was Favre, I wouldn't be taking my picture in Green Bay. Not during the winter.
No.
No, it doesn't represent well.
Well, you know, sometimes things look larger in the rearview mirrors than they really are.
That's probably why they do it. I don't know what it is about men that feel like they have to do that.
Well, they got a problem, brother.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Listen, it's like I told my sons. I said, gentlemen, I said, if the larger endowed you are, the further away you stand from the toilet. I said, when you go into the men's room, the guys right up close to the urinal are not, they ain't got a whole lot to hold on to.
Exactly.
I don't know if that helps them in life.
Well, you're a good father. I know they appreciate that. It's tremendous advice.
I'm still trying to figure out what the signal is in the bathroom.
You tell them about sexual favors. Sons, technically, a sexual favor is not a favor if they charge you for it.
Right.
It's actually a business transaction. There's a difference.
Anything that somebody gives you that can kill you is not a gift of love.
Not a favor, no. Exactly.
Ron Hart, we'll be right back.
Father of the Year.
Welcome back, Newsview, visiting with Ron Hart, author, libertarian. He got a great email, and it goes like, Ron, I feel like I can call you Ron because I agree with you on so many things, and then the homo thing got in there somewhere about it was like partly okay for the homo thing, but partly not okay. I love that. I mean, sometimes I wish you got my email, but I'd love to see yours.
From people?
Yeah.
It's not, there's three things that really upset people when you write a column. It's God, guns, and gays, which, as I said, was also my high school
So you're
prom
not
thing.
allowed to say gays on this show.
Really?
Yeah,
Homosexuals, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Please.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
I mean, that's not what it is. It is, don't do that.
You haven't been to a party. They're very gay.
No, I haven't been to a party.
Have you not been to a Halloween party?
No, I have not been to a party.
They are very happy.
I feel embarrassed admitting that, but I don't
They
know.
don't invite homophobes to their party. Look, as a libertarian, don't go there very often. You got to be careful.
No, listen, I was chastised by a woman who told me that I laughed too much and she couldn't hear what you were saying and I need to pack it in.
Quiet.
I promise you.
Yeah, that's the only place we differ. Is that, as a libertarian, I think you let people live their lives and you can't draw lines in terms of minimal government, except for here, here, and here. We're going to take.
Oh, I don't. I don't see that. I don't see that the government has any reason involved in it. Supporting or not supporting.
Yeah, they're not doing either.
It's like abortion. Okay, I left the Democratic Party when I left the Democratic Party when they came to partial term abortion, which basically is, I mean, murder.
Right.
I mean, okay. So I left because I couldn't. I mean, the world didn't shift or change, but I think you want to talk about what women do with their bodies and what women do with their children, and whether they decide to let them live or die. The government doesn't need to be involved in that.
Right. Yeah, and they're trying to make it more and more involved. It's someone's right to choose, obviously, is a part of any philosophy. The question is, where do you believe life begins? It's more of a moral, religious decision, like many decisions are, and that's where Rick Perry. We can segue into him.
Let's talk about Ricky.
I like
Ricky.
the guy. I mean, it's fine.
Listen, I like him. I call him Rocket Ricky.
Really?
Yeah.
What I like about him is, he grew up in a small town, Air Force guy, rough and tumble Texan. His father-in-law did his vasectomy. How about that? Because he wasn't even a doctor, which is really the weird part. Did it with a pistol. I mean, man, he's a tough
guy. He was a real Texan, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he pops right into the polls as a leader. Bachman's falling back, and everyone's falling back. But he's so dangerous right now that Newsweek's actually looking for an unflattering picture of him to put up soon. So he's caught the ire of a lot of people. Now, whether he harkens the people back to George Bush, thinking, hey, we don't want another one of those. You're not playing for the right. You're not playing for the left in this election. Their views are hard and their votes are locked in. You're playing for that middle section, and quite frankly, Romney probably has a better chance of getting that middle voter, the independent voter, the ones that sway elections. Perry, I think if he sticks with the state rights, with issues, he has done a good job of, by the way. He's done a pretty good, even on gay marriage, he says the state's right issue. He's a big 10th Amendment guy. If he sticks with that, I think you have a good chance of winning.
Well, for me, one of the things I like about him is he's an equal opportunity poker.
Right.
Whether it's Bachman or Romney.
Right.
I mean, he takes no prisoners. He's going to give them all a shot.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And he runs a state like Florida with zero income tax. It's had growth in jobs. It's been very business friendly. He understands the role of government. He used to be experiment with being a Democrat in college a little bit. He's past Democrat. He evolved. But as you know, you were a Democrat, and people, your audience can't believe at one point you were a Democrat. But Democrats were different back then.
Democrat brother, when we come back, let's talk a little bit about just how different they were back then. Ron Hart, we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Newsview, visiting with Ron Hart. I dropped off at the end of the segment. I was a Democrat. All my family were Democrats. A few of, just wouldn't everybody in the South, all my family from Montana, they weren't anything. They just wanted to be left alone.
Libertarian.
They left each other alone. There's still not a million of them that live in the state, But we were Democrats, and if you would have ever said that at some point in time I would have been a Republican, I would have told you you're just as crazy as a rat.
Right.
But the world has changed.
Well, as Zell Miller said it best, he didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left him.
Right.
And that's what happened with a lot of people. It's become really the Democrat Party, a party of victims, of people trying to get something from government that they're not putting into it to take advantage of government. Unions, teachers unions, people that feel like they're victims of some sort of malady caused by Bush or someone in the past. And someone who is strong and independent thinker and wants to work hard and doesn't expect things from others, I don't see how you can be a Democrat. I don't see how you can do it. So in the old days, you had Sam Nunn, who I would vote for. You had Zell Miller, who I would vote for.
Really?
I mean, you had some people that were Democrats that were very reasonable and solid people. No more. I mean, right now, I can't think of a Democrat that I would really vote for.
I can't think of a Democrat that I would even put the word moderate in front of.
Well, and unfortunately, Washington, D.C., when you get there, and it's happened to Rand Paul a little bit. He came there as a libertarian on the Republican side. It becomes shirts and skins. They divide every issue, and Nick Gillespie writes about it in his book, The Declaration of Independence, which is the libertarian book. There's really a need for a third party because you have these two entrenched parties. Like you saw it last night in the speech. I mean, they're divided. They just decide what side they're on. And if you try to stray from your party, you get collared by Nancy Pelosi if you're on the left, or you get collared by Mitch McConnell on the right. So look, I'm not going to do any fundraisers for you. If you don't come on the reservation on this vote right here, we're going to do this. There's no room for any independent thinking.
So whack you, spike you.
And people are tired of it. But this brand politics, this notion that you have to be one or the other, I happen to be in between. I agree with the Democrats and the liberals on maybe 10, 15% of the issues. Republicans probably 80% of the issues. and I'm independent on some other issues. But it's not one size fits all. Two choices. It's like having General Motors having two cars. It's just too many things out there today that divide people, and there are too many options you can have in terms of solutions.
But you make a point, when you make the point about the president, the counterpoint that underscores that is Ron Paul. I mean,
right.
he's as far as they're concerned, he's not even alive.
Right. They act like he's this crazy grandfather who comes to dinner, and he's like, that's crazy Ron Paul talking. But the truth is, he's right about everything. He's been right from the beginning. He was right about the wars. He said, don't go into Afghanistan and Iraq. He was completely right about that. He voted against the stimulus. He voted against Medicare Part D, that drug giveaway where there's no competition. The drug companies can't even bid for low price. The government just pays retail for drugs. I mean, the drug companies had their lobbyists in the Bush administration on that.
Right.
He's been right on every issue, the bailouts, et cetera. He's right about the Fed, the transparency in the Fed. And this money, where's this money going? The stimulus money just went to unions to buy power for Obama. $20 million went to a Seattle weatherizing company for green jobs in Seattle. $20 million US out of this program. They hired 14 people and they weatherized 3 houses. That's your government going to work. It's not only that 20 million went there, they take 15 million from you and me out of our taxes and borrow another 5. It's not like they just wasted 20 million. They got that 5 million that they borrowed for these stupid 3 houses to be weatherized under green jobs. The other issue is this solar company that Obama backed with a government loan of $500 billion. I mean, it was $500 million, $500 million that he signed the U.S. government on. They just filed bankruptcy. And this is his quote was, "This is the future of green power." Yeah, that is the future. Is when government starts to pick winners and losers. When government starts to give loans to people that, and these look, if solar power worked, don't you think capitalists and engineers would have that thing on everybody's roof? If it could create if it works, the free market system will bring it to market efficiently at a price that people can afford.
Well, if you're like me and you like the concept, once you get to the price,
gone. Yeah, I mean, same thing. Same thing with any form of power that's not efficient right now. Eventually, it will get efficient. Imagine if you could just turn water into fuel. Of course, you could do that. This notion that you can do this and it's just a lack of money being wasted on it. And the people that stick around the government, especially the Democrat Party, they're all leeches. I've been to fundraisers. They're all contractors. They're kind of slippery people. They're trying to get government deals. These aren't real entrepreneurs. Real entrepreneurs have no tolerance for government. They couldn't stand the bureaucracy. They're out there, Stephen Jobs and Apple creating a new phone all the time, creating jobs out there, a new app. I mean, he's created a great empire out there. He doesn't rely on the government for that. Microsoft didn't rely on the government. They were minding their business until Clinton sued them. And no one else that does a good job, Bernie Marcus at Home Depot, you name the company, they're not, Walmart, they're not tied to the government, they're anti-government. And if you don't pay them attention sometimes, Obama will come after you. And what's frightening about this thing, he's basically having this solar company investigated by the FBI. He's having the S&P rating agency investigated once they down. So if you do anything, he's like a mafia boss. If you do anything to him, he sends Eric Holder after you, like he's going to beat you up, like he's going to arrest you because you do anything to hurt him politically. S&P and the SEC investigates them right after they downgrade the United States. It's like a threat. Don't mess with us.
Chicago politics.
Exactly.
Ron Hart. We'll be right back. Welcome back. News View, visiting with Ron Hart, famous guy and Fox News View contributor. And we'll finish it off this last couple of minutes by talking about what about Dick Cheney.
Unapologetic, on his book tour in my time. There's a little bit of Cheney fatigue out there, but you gotta love this guy. He shows up. What's the name of his book? Torture in the Rye, or someone says Torture in the Rye, or From Sneer to Eternity. He's showing up everywhere. I mean, he's doing every show. Shows up in a limo with bodyguards. He brags about shooting a guy in the face, openly. He said he's gonna get
a lawyer.
Yeah, he may get the BET Lifetime Achievement Award for rappers. He said, "Yeah, I shot a guy in the face." But no, I mean, he's got a bionic heart. I mean, who says green power doesn't work? He's a big green power guy. His heart's, but he's one of these guys who'll go down in history. Now, I disagree with Iraq. He's not been unapologetic about Iraq, but occupying the country. The elder Bush knew better than that, and they didn't do that, and that's been a mess. I mean, that's one mistake he did make. But look, I like a guy like that in charge. I like this good cop, bad cop routine he had with this, sneer and this whole idea he's got a tick and like he's reliving a waterboarding in his mind all the time. He just kind of scares the foreign infidels.
Well, I mean, he's candid
Yeah.
to a fault.
He's straightforward. I mean, he's a pretty amazing
If it's
guy.
good for Bush when he tells it, that's good. And if it's bad for Bush when he tells it, that's
Yeah.
he still tells it.
Yeah, he stood by his guy, Scooter Libby.
Right.
I like a guy that does that. He got really mad when they went after
Scooter
him.
Libby got
Yeah, he got railroaded.
he got
Yeah. Well, they lost the
Pantyhose.
house. 07, or they lose the house, so they had subpoena power, and they start going after Bush for everything. The truth is, what's validated what Cheney's done is Obama's doing the same thing. He's waterboarding. He's doing this Guantanamo Bay. He's doing the secret prisons. He says he's not. He is.
Libya.
Yeah, he's in Libya more. He tripled the troops in Afghanistan. So if you're against the guy's policy, if you remember for 4 years, that's all the Democrats did. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Obama gets in there. I don't know what it is about the presidency. Maybe flying in Marine One or Air Force One makes you feel like you're a military person. They all get trigger happy.
Right.
Even Obama, this pacifist, triples down in Afghanistan.
How does he get by with that?
I don't know. I don't know how it works out that way.
Remember, those are my views. What are yours?